So when you first come in, on your left, we have our light switch, which controls the lights in the front half of the van. And they are on a dimmer, so we can dim or have them all the way up or whatever we'd like. This is our Simply Safe keypad. We can lock the van home or away or home or whatever from right here. This is our temperature detector, so it tells us how warm or cold it is in the van. You can actually set it up to where it notifies you if it's gone above or below the parameters that you've set. This is our glass break sensor, so if a window shattered or something like that, it picks up the frequency and notifies us of that. And right here we have one of our 2 motion detector sensors. So that just picks up motion. If somebody's entering or leaving the van or walking around, if somebody's in here and they're not supposed to be, it'll go off if we have the alarm set. So below our light switch and our Simply Safe system, we have Kramer's, which is our little puppy, his water and food bowls. And we also have a rug, which is really important if you want to come in from the rain. Things get really wet really fast in a tiny little area, much more than they would in a house where you have a front porch. So on this side, when you come in, we have our passenger seat, which is on a swivel base. So it swivels around a little bit. And this is great to have as extra seating, especially if like cooking in the kitchen and Chris wants to work on his laptop for a little bit. It's a really great, nice little addition, especially for the price. I think they're running around like $200 or something. And then below that, we have our S-Bar D2 heater, and that's been really, really great so far. We were actually, around Thanksgiving, we were in single digits. I think it got like 5 degrees or something when we were in Massachusetts, and that thing kept us so warm. I woke up sweating in the middle of the night because I had set it up too high, and it wasn't even set up near as high as it goes. So that thing, I feel very confident in like negative temperatures. Like we would be more than fine with that thing. So really, really happy with that. And then we have this little black curtain on a curtain rod. We just drilled right into our headliner shelf because this is 1/2-inch plywood right here. So at night we can pull that. We also have reflected curtains that go in the front windshield, which reflect heat, especially if we leave the dog alone or something during the day. But sometimes we're just wanting to self-camp or something like that. We can just close this off, and it goes the whole length. So it looks like a black wall and looks a little more utilitarian. So a little more like an electrician's van or something like that. And right here we have our headliner shelf, which we actually made ourselves. They're pretty expensive if you buy them, which is, we're really glad we ended up making it ourselves because the quality is really good. We made it out of plywood. It's really sturdy, and honestly it took us like 30 minutes to make. It was super easy. So up here we hold our dog's food, and he's got a little box of toys, and I've got some extra like scarves and hats, and then we hold bathroom bags up here, which are great for like if we're going to the gym to shower or work out. So this is just stuff that we access pretty much all the time that we just want like easy access to. So behind me we have our bathroom, which has a shower with hot and cold water, and then we have our Thetford porta potty cassette toilet, which we've actually really liked so far. We were on the fence between this and a composting toilet, but we ended up going with this, one because of price point, and two, we can move it in and out really easy, so we actually have more room in the shower when we move it out. So we just, if we want to, we can just put it out here and we have like a much larger shower versus if we had the composting toilet just always stuck in there. So we've got our little basket, which is his and hers, and we've got our toilet paper up here. We've got little hooks that hold our towels and swimsuits and that kind of good stuff. And we do have our light up here, and the switch is over here on the side. Super nice. Really glad we put a light in there because it does get kind of dark. So moving into the van, we have our kitchen right here on the left side. Starting, we have our farmhouse kitchen sink, and we opted for a larger sink than most vans have. We're really glad we did that. It's really nice to have extra space. Even if we don't fill it up, it's really nice to kind of, you know, wash veggies or whatever else. So we got this at IKEA on clearance, and it was perfect. It's exactly what we were looking for. And then we have just a little draining board here to let our dishes dry so they're not on the counter, and sponge holder. We've got our soap dispenser, which we can refill from the bottom underneath. We've got our water filtered water. The filter's underneath the sink actually. And then this is just our normal water that's not purified. And it's the spray, and it actually has the stop feature. A couple people have asked about that. So yes, it does have the stop feature, which is really great when you're really running short on water or always conserving like we are. We have our ratchet kitchen or paper towel dispenser, which we really like that. It actually fits just perfect next to our stove and oven. Barely made that clearance. So this is our stove and our oven. It's propane, and we've got the 3-eye burner on top, which we're really, really glad we did. We almost did induction, Didn't really want to have to worry with propane and all that, but that's a lot of extra electricity, so we went ahead and did the propane because we really wanted an oven. And in order to do an oven, it takes a lot of power. People ask how it is compared to like a normal house gas oven, and actually it works really well. It cooks pretty evenly. The stove is a decent size. It's really been great. It's one of our favorite things about the vans. We can have soup and cookies and all kinds of fun stuff. So, and then down on the front of the oven, we actually have magnetic spice holders. These are just from Amazon, but they worked really well. They hold our spices and save a ton of room in the cabinets, and they look kind of cute. And then above here we have 2 cabinets. These are both dedicated to food. So we've got cereals, chips, and protein bars, and coffee, and all kinds of things. And it's actually more storage than what it looks like. We've actually been really happy with just these 2. We have our fridge, which holds a lot of like our produce and our dairy and all that kind of thing. So really dry goods wise, we don't need that much storage. This has been plenty for us. So under the counter, on this side, we have our pots and our pans and our blender, our coffee mugs, plates, bowls, glass Tupperware kind of stuff, silverware, all that good stuff is down here. So this is all like cooking and dishes, that kind of thing. And then under the counter on this side, underneath the sink, we have a couple of cleaning supplies, some toiletries, our water filtration system, a little garbage can, which can't really have a huge garbage can. I do miss that about a real house, but you don't have like a full garbage system, so you can't ever store too much at one time anyway, so it works. And then below that we keep like some vitamins and extra cups, like our smoothie glasses and that kind of thing. So over here on this side, we have our his and her desks. It was really important to us to bring our iMacs with us. We work full-time on the road, and we could have worked from laptops, and we do sometimes, but it's really nice to actually have like our iMacs work as faster, and just feels more like we're at home if we're able to do all of our stuff on a bigger screen and a faster system. So we made an effort to bring these along, and it's actually been really great. We've really enjoyed having them. They're secured down to the desk with these really like ultra heavy duty kind of, they're made for like security purposes, so they're actually like bolted into the bottom of the desk, and then they're locked down from the back. All the screens are in place, and they're not going anywhere if somebody wants to steal them. They're essentially gonna have to like cut them out of the desk. So these have been really great so far. So these are both 27-inch iMacs, so it's a larger size, just for perspective on how big this area is. So 2 chairs, both from TJ Maxx. Oh, and up here, each of us has 3 cabinets for clothes or whatever else we want to store. So these 3 are Chris's. So down here below the desk, we actually recently found these little book containers on Amazon, and they're really great for just like holding our books and journals and all that kind of stuff, things that we weren't able to part with. We'd like to have a few books with us at a time. So they fit really well there. They take up a lot of cabinet storage, which is valuable space, and those are just the perfect, really low profile size, and they're kind of cool. So we really like those. And you'll see that we actually, right next to that, we actually have our pipes from the shower slightly exposed, and the reason that is, same for our wires. The reason we did that is just for starting out in the van for like the first 6 months. We wanted to leave that all exposed so we could from time to time tighten up the pipes, make sure everything's good and that there's no leaks or anything like that. So far so good, but we did want to have easy access to that until we were sure everything was running smoothly. So you will see that it's a little ugly, not very noticeable unless you get down there and look, but that is there. So also underneath the desk, we do have our explosive gas alarm. So it's like our carbon monoxide alarm, and also is our propane detector. So if this is leaking, we have a sensor, and you're supposed to keep it down low because it's heavier than oxygen. So it's down there plugged into the wall. Also over here we have our wheel box, and it's actually a really great little place. I have a basket right here. It's kind of where I keep all my shoes. Chris keeps fewer in the van, so I got more space for that. So that's right there. And then next to that, we actually have our battery panels, battery monitors for Victron, so we can see our solar, our inverter controller, and then our SBAR D2 heater, and then our Max Air Fan Deluxe, which has been really great. We really like that versus like the Fantastic Fan because it can be left open when it rains, when we're driving, and it pulls in and out. And we also have like 10 or 12 speeds on it. It's really great. And then we also have our WeBoost down here, which sort of boosts our cell signal. It doesn't boost a Wi-Fi signal or find a Wi-Fi signal for us. It does take our cell phone signal and gives us a couple extra bars no matter where we are. So if we're at like 1 bar LTE, it boosts us up to like 3 or something like that, which does make a huge difference sometimes. Something that's not down here, we keep it up behind the driver's seat to plug it in. It's just sort of been the most successful way for us to keep it, but we do have a Verizon hotspot, and that's one of the ways that we do get Wi-Fi in our van for working. So we have about 25 gigs a month on that, and that's a pretty good amount. After that, we still have internet with them, but they just throw out all the speeds a lot. So we have 25 gigs there, and then each of us has a Wi-Fi hotspot on our Verizon cell phone plan. So it's about 15 gigs a month on each of our phones. So total, what is that, like 55 gigs a month or something like that? Yeah. But after that, like you do still have internet, they just slow it down. And sometimes it's not so bad, but if you're in a larger major city, like when we were in Boston, they really slowed our speeds down a lot. So that's how we do a lot of our Wi-Fi. And then back on top of the desk, something else we should have mentioned is we do have our smoke detector right here. And we have another motion detector right there next to the right computer. And then back over here, we put it away when we're not using it, but this is our Simply Safe camera, and this is how we keep an eye on the dog. We have sound through it, and it's color, and it does have night vision, which turns it black and white, which is really great. So this has been a huge lifesaver, just to kind of keep an eye on the dog, especially if we're in big cities. We don't like to leave him very far from us, and this way we can tell, like, oh, he's still sleeping. So it's really great. All right, one more thing that we didn't mention when talking about the kitchen is our right behind me we have our isotherm refrigerator, and we opted for the isotherm because they're the most efficient energy-wise, and battery electricity is very important. So we got the larger size, and it has the fridge and freezer. So freezer's right here, and it holds actually a pretty good bit of stuff. Fridge is a really large size. We've been to where we've maxed it out, but I mean that can hold 5 days of food easy. So we're really glad we opted for the larger size. Fits really well below the bed too. So. And then this is Kramer. He's our little puppy. He's ready to get down. This is almost a king size bed. So what we did is we ordered a memory foam king size mattress, and then we took a meat cutter and we cut it down to size. So it's sort of custom fit. I say it's almost a king size. Width-wise, we're about 3 inches short of a king-size width, and then we cut off 2 or 3 inches from the end just because we're not very tall and we didn't really need that, but it's still like a 6'3" or 6'4" length mattress, so it's a really good size. Honestly, it's plenty of room. Even with the part of it being underneath the cabinets, the dog kind of lays over right there, and then we have the rest of the room, and so far, haven't really hit my head on the cabinets, so fingers crossed. Back here, we also have 2 windows which open. And what we did with that is we really wanted to have cross ventilation when we're sleeping. So we don't have an AC unit, which was intentional in our van because they do tend to leak from what we hear. So we have our max air fan right above in the center of the room, which is right also next to the stove. So that's how we vent it. And then open both of those windows. It's this really great wind tunnel, and you can like open the windows that far and you instantly feel the breeze going over you. So it's amazing. We're really glad we did those. As you'll notice, we have 2 outlets on each side of the bed, and they have USB ports too. So, we're able to charge our phones from bed or computers or whatever else we need to charge. And we've added a couple extra outlets throughout. So here's one with USBs right here. And then, oh, and this is our light switch to control the lights in the second half of the van. So now that we've talked about the layout, let's talk about a couple of the different finishings that we did in the van. One of the most noticeable ones we get asked about a lot are our cabinet fronts. They are stainless steel, really durable, and they're really not any heavier than what wood cabinet fronts would have been. And they're really nice because they actually reflect a lot of light. So it actually feels brighter in here than what it might with like wood cabinet fronts. So we're really glad we went with these. And then below we have 1-inch thick butcher block countertops for both the desk and the kitchen. So we actually got these at the same time and for a really great price at like a discount lumber kind of place. Same type of wood. I don't remember the exact kind, but 1 inch is obviously half as heavy as like 2 inch, which is the typical butcher block. So we're really glad we found something a little lighter. For the bathroom and the kitchen backsplash, we did subway tiles. I think they're 2x4s, 2x5s, something like that, from Home Depot. And then we did this gray grout, and we actually had the people at Home Depot talk to us. We told them what we were doing and that it was in an RV, and they actually told us a really great grout that's a little more flexible than the typical kind. So hopefully this will hold up over time with like the moving and the twisting of the van. And so far we haven't had any tile issues. Everything's held together really well, no cracks, no missing tiles. So fingers crossed on that as well, that hopefully this will hold up with time. It's doing great so far. So really glad we did the tile. It just adds a nice like homey farmhouse kind of feel. And then this magnet bar we actually got on Amazon as well. It's a nice way to store our knives, so we're not always like reaching in and trying to like underneath and we can't see and we're slicing our fingers open. So we have our pizza cutter, which is obviously an essential, kitchen scissors, knives, and that's been really great. It's really easy, just grab them off the back. And then for our flooring, we actually have vinyl locking floors. They're rated as waterproof, so they're really friendly for the van, really light, really easy to put together. We really like the color. It's kind of like a neutrally, makes it feel homey, warm, all that kind of thing. Also, something you can't see is we did go ahead and splurge and have our entire van spray foam insulated, and we're so glad we did. It was more than what it would have been to do like, I don't know, denim insulation or something like that. But we were in this van before we had our heater in it, and we stayed in what, 30 degrees, and body heat alone kept us very warm in this van, and we've had the van in the 80s and still been comfortable with the fan. So spray foam insulation, highly recommended. Over time, it's supposed to be the best option. It handles moisture really well, which is good if you're going to humid climates, all that kind of thing. So can't see it, but it's there. And underneath the bed, we actually have a really good sized garage. We have all of our electrical and solar components under there. We have both of our bikes under there. Our freshwater tank is actually inside the van versus outside because we didn't want that to freeze if we were somewhere cold. And all of that's going to probably be its own separate video because that's just sort of a mess in and of itself. So we want to get you back there and actually show you all around that. So if you have any specific questions about that, be sure to drop a comment for us and we will answer that in the video.